Speaker mic modification.
Hello, it's Paul, 2 Echo 0 Echo India Juliet, or 26 Charlie Tango 7P0 if you catch me on PMR 446 or 11 metres. Normally I say that the other way around, but fancy to change this time. Another spur of the moment video, I suppose, and it's featuring this speaker mic. So I've already modified this speaker mic because the clip on the back was broken, so quite crude. I just glued an old crop clip to the back of that, so with super glue. So I'm not sure how long that'll last, but the one thing I did notice, because I'd taken the back off it earlier, was the microphone has no hole in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lid off that speaker mic, and let's bring it back into shot actually, and then I'm going to put a hole or two where the microphone is, and then obviously I'm going to test it. I've already tested the audio quality and it does sound a bit atrocious, so we'll see what happens there. So I'm going to stop the video whilst I take the back off that, because to be honest it's a bit of a time consuming process because the screws and all sorts. And I featured on my electronics channel this little metal tray, which is a magnetic tray. It's got a screw in it already, so I just chuck my screws in that and we're good to go. Although it picks everything else metallic up as well. So that's what we're going to do here. Right, the first thing I'm going to do is get the screwdriver that actually came with that tray, and find the appropriately sized bit. I think I decided on the PH0 bit for that, but I could be wrong. And what I will do is I'll open up that microphone off camera, and then I'll show you what's actually inside it. Okay, taking the screws out didn't take as long as I thought, so that's the microphone. I put the screwdriver down, and I should then be able to remove the lid, and inside you're just presented with a PCB. The little built-in LED on the camera is reflecting off that a bit. However, that's what you've got, just the wires soldered onto the PCB. That's the speaker there, and there's a microphone there, but if you look at the front where the microphone is, there actually isn't a hole for the audio to get through, so that could muffle the audio. PTT switch fits in this little gap here. There's a little push button at the top. Let's bring it back into shot again, because it went out of shot while I did that. There we go. A bit difficult when I'm working behind the camera instead of in front of it. So I'm just behind the camera now. So that's the PCB. What we've got to do is get that PCB out. So it's not fastened in with screws or anything. The only thing I've got to do is pop it out, and then it should just come out like that. The only downside is that it's the speaker there attached to it, so that's the only drawback. And unfortunately those wires are exceptionally short, which means I'm going to have to remove them with my soldering iron, which is just off camera there. So I'll try and remove these with a soldering iron and see what happens. So I've got radio 1 in the background there. That's my DMR, which is currently tuned to the jumbo spot. So what I'm going to do with those wires is I'm just going to disconnect them, and then I'll reconnect them back up at the end. I'll disconnect them from the PCB rather than the speaker, and then we can get to work on modifying this. I've just got to wait for my soldering iron to get up to temperature. There's a little bit of solder on that, so I might be able to do this. Just knock the wire off with a soldering iron. That's probably not the prescribed way of doing this. Yeah, it hasn't quite worked, so I'll pause the video again, and hopefully I'll come back with the wires removed. Okay, so I'm back now. It didn't take me as long as I thought. I just needed both hands. That's the circuit board now liberated from the speaker mic housing. So there's the microphone element there. That's the PTT button there. capacitor there, which I think's across the mic. Yeah, it looks like it's across it. But it's connected from one side of the mic to the other side of the mic by virtue of this massive pad or whatever it is here. Some components under this sticker. I think there might be a resistor for this LED. I think there's another capacitor under there. Wires are just soldered to the back like that, and that's the speaker mic socket. So, what we'll do is we'll now look at where the microphone needs to go. So, that's where the microphone does go, just here. Bring it into shot for you, just in this gap here. There does not appear to be any adequate means of channeling the audio because the speaker's glued in. Because on the front here, there doesn't looks like it might be, but unfortunately it goes right under there. So it's better to get the audio through from the front or the back. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and modify this in some way, shape or form. So it doesn't look like it's tough plastic. Looks like I might just be able to get through it with something sharp. I won't film that because I might make a complete mess of it or end up stabbing myself in the finger or something. So I'll come back once I've modified that. Okay, took me a little while, but I managed to get there. So what I've done is there's two holes there at the top, right through where the microphone would sit. Hopefully that will be enough to make some kind of improvement. I might add a couple of extra later on if I don't feel as though the improvement's been enough. But for now I think that should be fine. I don't use the speaker mic often, but I'm about to press it back into service. It does need a bit of a clean up, so I'm going to get that cleaned up and get this thing reassembled. So I'll be back in a moment once I've cleaned this and started the reassembly. Right, so I've put the board back into the microphone and best I can, and I've reattached those wires. Hopefully the right way around, I'll soon know. But speakers generally aren't that polarity sensitive. So all I've now really got to do is make sure the board's properly lined up and sits in its space properly. And then put the lid back on and fasten it all up. So all I need to do is grab the lid, grab the PTT button, which is underneath my glue gun there, which has fallen on its side. Pop it back together and give it a test. And I've just dropped the PTT button on the floor because it got caught on my woolly jumper. So these things happen. Okay, let's get this thing reassembled. So PTT button should sit back in there somewhere. There should be some locating pin or position for it, like so. Then the rear cover should then fit back on, all being well. Although this still isn't quite fitting together, which makes me think the board maybe hasn't quite gone in, or it's not quite right on one side. So if it's not fitting together, you should really take apart and have a quick peek inside to make sure everything's back to where it went. And then hopefully everything should work. Yeah, so that's lined up with that, that's lined up with that, that's just not quite lined up with that, I don't think. Yeah, that should be okay now. Although I think part of the problem was the little rubber thing that holds the headphone jack in place hadn't quite gone in, and that's the PTT button on the floor again. It doesn't want to stay up on the desk, does it? Well, that's a problem. As long as I've not lost it, I suppose that's a good thing. And it's only a small bit of black plastic, and it's the most obvious piece of black plastic. So yeah, that's got that up off the floor. Really doesn't want to go back in, that PTT button. So, PTT button's now in place. That's the cover snapped back together. Nothing broken. So, let's start putting screws in. Now, because it's not 4 screws, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. So, let's put this new screwdriver to the test and see what happens. If there's a bit of a noise in the background, it's because I've got my video editing machine running, and it's currently actually editing processing the video for my electronics channel that I made about this screwdriver and a good source of LEDs. So if you want to go check out my electronics channel, you can do. At time of filming there isn't a lot on there, just 2 videos. Because by the time I get this one in the can, the electronics one will be uploaded and be all there for viewing. So I've only got, but at the time of filming is actually, well, there's technically only 1 video up, but you know, there will be 2 by the time this video makes it into the can. So that's now all done, and that's my rather crude clip, which I'm hoping stays secure. That's the microphone itself. Right, I'm going to do a little audio test off camera, so I'll report back with that. Okay, just done an audio test with a modified microphone. It sounds reasonably better than what it did. I can't really comment too much about it without giving it any on-air tests, which will probably come in the next couple of days. So I'll try and get that done, and obviously I'll report back at some point. So this speaker microphone, I can't remember how much I paid for it. I think I might have bought it from Maplin. They did sell a lot of Moonraker stuff at the time, and I think this is a Moonraker speaker microphone. So it's basically just a speaker grill with an LED. I've added the 2 holes, obviously, as you may have seen, but I didn't show the whole process. All I used was a really fine point screwdriver just to do those holes. I mean, you can use anything, drill bit, soldering iron, although I wouldn't recommend doing that because that would ruin your soldering iron bits in no time. Just anything with a sharp point will go through the plastic. So the croc clip was something I had lying around in my pile of absolute junk. I've not actually had a chance to test that one either. So I am going to give this microphone a fair test just to see if I've actually made any improvement to it, and obviously after that then we can go from there. So, this is Paul, 2 Echo Zero, Echo India Juliet, or 26 Charlie Tango 730, if you catch me on 11 metres, and PMR 446. And I'm now going to have to wish you 7 threes, because the battery's about to run out. That's a first. So, 7 threes.
Don't forget, you can subscribe to this channel and ring the bell if you'd like to be notified about new videos as I upload them. 7-3 from Paul, 2 Echo Zero, Echo India Juliet, or 26 Charlie Tango 730 if you catch me on 11 metres and PMR 446.